Hello and welcome to another video. I watched Attack on Titan, the entirety of it, in like a month. Was it a good idea? Probably not. I should have just watched the seasons incrementally because I honestly did not soak in everything that I watched from every single season, and I'm sorry about that. So I will be pretty broad in my explanation and what I thought, but I want to mainly explain the things that were the most impactful for me watching the show. First of all, let's start from the beginning. Season 1, seeing Aaron's mother's death is really, really impactful, especially just right out of the gate, just fucking fuck ton of shit going on, apocalypse basically happening. It is just so just guttural, like the emotion you feel watching this, and then just seeing how that rage has like boiled up in him. And spoiler alert, that rage is not going to be going away anytime soon at all. So, for that matter. But again, I'll get to that. So, anyway, seeing Aaron develop into a scout and seeing him train in the first place with the 104th Regiment, I think that's the correct number, is pretty interesting. And again, seeing him interact with everybody, not only from the Scout Regiment, but from the 104th trainings, like stuff as well. And seeing him meet like Reiner and his brother is really, really nice to see, which makes it even more heartbreaking in season 2 when you figure out that they betrayed them. And it is just really, again, really fucking heartbreaking. But first, before I get like straight into season 2, I want to talk about the fights because they are really, really good. I think I'm not exactly sure if they use CGI or, actual like animation, like, 2D animation in the fight scenes in season 1 or season 2. I know they use CGI in season 3 and season 4, but I'm not exactly sure. But they are really, really good. Like, very, very stylized, very realistic. It feels weighty. The problem that I have with some anime fight scenes, it feels like the characters are kind of weightless. They feel as if they can kind of move as fast as they want and like do all these fucking crazy ass moves. When Aaron becomes a Titan, and that scene is really, really impactful as well, you get to see the weight of his actual actions, like physically. It is really, really nice to see that, and seeing how everybody else has to deal with Aaron's power, and seeing how the entire scout regiment, and not only them, but just the government trying to go after Aaron, or not the scout regiment, but just again the entire government just trying to go after Aaron because of this power that they don't know anything about, is really, really just again, I'm going to say the same thing, but it is impactful. And again, that's why I said at the beginning of the video, I'm just going to be explaining the biggest moments for me personally throughout all these seasons. And again, season 2 with Reiner and his brother betraying the entire Scott regiment is really, really impactful. And also seeing Ani and fighting Aaron, and the entire forest scene is goddamn, that the forest scene is really, really good. I know some people thought it was like filler. I honestly didn't. I felt like it was actually there for a reason. And while they were in the forest for a very fucking long time, it really highlighted Ani's power and how much better she was at fighting really than Aaron was at the time. But also hardening. You get to see like different abilities of the Titans, and you get to slowly realize, get to learn more about the Titans, and slowly realize more, which leads me up to season 3, which is really, really good. This is where the plot goes full throttle, and you basically learn almost everything about the Titans, except for a few things which are explained in season 4. However, season 3 is really goddamn good. I know a lot of people say the CGI is kind of shoddy here and there, and yes, it is. This is honestly the season where I could most notice how kind of shoddy the CGI kind of looked at moments, but that's a minor complaint because, again, the plot is so goddamn good in season 3. And realizing, spoiler alert again, just seeing how just fucking terrified Aaron looks when he realizes that the entire reason why this shit went down in the first place, why this is happening, is because his father killed the Titan bloodline, like the bloodline that was passed down from generation to generation since the beginning. He killed their bloodline besides like one person, and then impacted this, and then realizing that Eren actually fucking ate his father is, god damn. Like, oh, like it is such a shock, and like, God, and you can just see it in Eren's face. You can see how he wants to completely give up, and it's probably where he was almost at his lowest. So all the entirety of the show, that's probably where he was at the lowest, because again, he just wanted to die. He didn't even want to be there. He wanted, them to continue the bloodline. He wanted them to continue it, but just Historia decided against it, and that's what makes that scene just even more just impactful and really, really powerful. And also seeing Historia's father grow into this huge fucking blob of a Titan and crawling to the wall is really, really just, you can feel the scale of everything. What I really like about Attack on Titan, again, everything feels extremely weighted. You can feel everything, not only in just how huge and humongous these Titans are to humans, but also the facial expressions and the details, especially in the eyes. This anime easily has the most detailed and expression, like the most expressional, if that even is a word, eyes I've ever seen in any anime. You can see the trauma and emotion and everything that is basically almost bottled up in almost every single character just by looking at their eyes, but especially when it is the main like focus of a scene. You can really see that trauma, or like that psychopathic intent, like that I'll get to in season 4. But yeah, but I also really like the ending scene in season 3, where they get to the ocean, and then Eren realizes that the outside world was really not what he was expecting. He was looking forward to it. That was the entire reason he joined the Scout Regiment in the first place, and that just makes it even more shattering that he was extremely disappointed by the outside world. But it makes sense after so much trauma and so many hardships that he's had to go through. It makes sense that he's kind of become disillusioned, and also just realizing that the entire outside world is against him in season 3, or in season 4 especially, just makes that even more impactful. And before I go on to season 4, I also really, really loved really loved the scene where Levi has to choose between saving the commander or Armin. Like, it is really, because you don't know who he's actually going to choose. You really don't. Like, you don't know if he's going to choose Erwin or Armin. Like, it's not like one-sided or anything. He wants to save both of them basically equally, but he only chooses Armin because he doesn't want to bring Erwin back into this life of pure like hell. He doesn't want to bring him back to that. And again, but just also even seeing Armin in such a fucking charred state and seeing so much awful shit happen in season 3. God damn, dude. It is just a roller coaster of emotions. But that brings me to season 4, which I also really, really loved. First of all, a big improvement over season 3 to me is the CGI. And again, I know it could maybe look a little weird in like a few frames, but overall the CGI was really immaculate. Hell, if you did not tell me that there was CGI in season 4, I would not be able to tell. In season 3, I was able to tell at some points, but here, if you told me that it was entirely 2D animation, I would have like fully accepted it because it looks really, really good. But not only that, there was a huge like shift in terms of plot. Now it is focusing a lot on the outside world, and where Reiner and his brother and Ani and where everybody else grew up outside of the island. And it is really, really interesting, and especially really, really interesting when contextualized with the rest of the season, where it focuses a lot more on Aaron after that. But not only that, when you first get to see Aaron, you really get to realize how much of a changed person he is, not like with his like main goal, because you can, and like with his main emotions, because you can still tell that he is kind of driven by rage, and that is not going to change. That is going to be how he is. He doesn't change in that aspect at all. But what I mean by change is that you can see that he doesn't really, I don't even think he smiles. That the entirety of season 4, he is just cold, dead, fucking serious. And you can really tell that he is like beyond saving. And you can like really tell at the end of season 4. But again, I'll get to that because it is just it's really, really good. I'm sorry I keep repeating everything, but there's really not a lot of words I can use to describe just how good these seasons are. And that's why I'm repeating myself. And I also don't have a script, so I'm sorry about that. But again, really, really good. And also seeing all the war aspects and seeing how technology has advanced outside of the island, and also seeing the the people coming from from the outside world going into the island, and then learning about the technology that they've been missing out on, and seeing them advance not only that but agriculturally and everything like that. Well, not agriculturally, but again, like military wise and stuff like that. And then seeing the big fucking fight on the outside world where Eren and Armin and everyone just team up from the island to give a huge fucking blow to the outside world. And it is just an amazing fight, like immaculate, like really, really good. And God, I don't want to talk about Sasha's death, dude, because even though, she wasn't the most, like, fucking, like, most, like, emotionally, like, insane person in the world. Like, she had so much depth emotionally. Like, she didn't have an insane emotional depth to her. But what she did have was unparalleled, like, comedy, just bringing light into everything, and seeing how she dies in one moment, and seeing her even just reminisce about food is, even no matter how silly it may sound, it is just it's so impactful either way, because again, we've known this character since season 1. Since we saw her fiending for bread. It is just, like, I love this show, and just how it is not afraid to kill characters. It is not afraid to give you a huge gut punch, like completely out of left field, but in a really good way. And now I want to talk about probably one of my favorite episodes, if not my favorite episode from season 4, like in the entirety, and that is Future Memories, where you get to see Eren team up with Zeke in earlier episodes, but then you actually figure out what Eren was doing, because you kind of have a sense that Eren is not going to just stop the birth rate of all Eldians. He does not want that, obviously. He wants an alternative way, but you don't actually know until like this episode and until future episodes where you really get to see his intention. But also realizing that the Attack Titan's main power is seeing the past, present, and future, and seeing how the entire story up to this point was because of his future self. It ties everything so well together. It is insane. But again, I don't only like Future Memories for that. As I alluded to, the eyes, especially when Eren is convincing his father, where they are both completely fucked emotionally. Like, you can see that in the detail of the eyes alone, but especially in Eren's eyes when he's convincing his father to kill the Titan bloodline to steal their power, is like Yeah, oh my God. Like, that is the probably one of the most impactful and guttural scenes of the entire show. But not only that, just seeing how he is really just not even really cared about the world anymore. You realize that, especially after he realizes that, he can see the future, past, and the present, seeing what his actual plan was, which was to basically commit genocide to everybody outside of the island, and seeing that actually take place. Holy fuck, dude. Oh my God. You can just feel the sense of scale of all the walls finally coming down, and you seeing every single fucking Titan that was in the wall. You could see that from like season 2, where you could see there was Titans in the walls, and then you finally get to see it in season 4 when everything is shit is hitting the fan, shit is fucking going down. And then I know I'm skipping past a lot of stuff, but then we get to the final 2 episodes, which are really good. And let me just say this, I found the ending phenomenal. There were some things that I was still a little unsure about. For example, it wasn't entirely explained how Mikasa kind of saved the founder of the Titans, Ymir. Eren, I think, said that Mikasa somehow saved Ymir, but he doesn't know how, and Ymir is the only one that knows how. But then they don't really go into detail. They kind of just skim past that. So again, that is kind of a open plot thread that's just kind of open and not really resolved. But and also some of the kind of dream-like sequences, I'm not entirely sure if they're like dream sequences or whatever, but where you get to see like all the like them up in the clouds. You get to see Eren and Armin up in the clouds, and also seeing this kind of ideal world where you get to see Eren and Mikasa actually together, and just seeing all these actually take place. I'm still not exactly sure what they are, so you can explain to me in the comments what they are. I think they're dreams. Maybe they're like an alternate reality type of memory thing, where if it did have a happy ending, this is what it would be like. But honestly, I am happy that it actually doesn't have a happy ending. At first, I was thinking, oh, this deserves a happy ending. But then, after going back through the entire story and how cruel the entire story is, how Eren caused all of this shit to happen, how he caused his mother to die, how he caused his father to even start this in the first place, how he got his Titan powers because of his future, because he was able to control and manipulate his memories, is really, really fucking. Again, I can't explain just how powerful it is because I'm just repeating myself, but it really is just so impactful, so but again, I'm sorry. I've said the word impactful like 10 million times. But again, I can't use another word to really describe this show. It is just that word, impactful. It leaves a mark on you. And it just leaves. It makes me feel kind of empty after watching the show. And also seeing that scene where Armin is actually talking to Eren, and seeing how this entire genocide, all this was because he wanted to protect his friends. But again, as I said, he hasn't changed from his kid-like self. And I know everybody else that talked about this show and the ending said it like this as well, but he really has not changed from how he was as a kid. He's just an older kid mentally. He is still extremely driven by rage, motivated by rage, to the point where he will do everything in his power, even if he has way too much of it, even if he realizes that he is acting stupid as all hell. He even admits it with his talk with Armin, that he is a fucking idiot. Even if he realizes that, he still will do everything in his power to protect his friends. And that's just what makes his death even more sad. Because as fucking terrible as the atrocities that he's committed, he wiped out 80% of humanity. He is a fucking psychopath in a way, where you could especially see that again in season 4, where he did not smile at all. He was extremely serious. He was very hostile towards everybody. He said he hated Mikasa. He had a fight with Armin. He completely went against them just to go with this genocidal fucking plan, and he killed off his fucking friends, and he killed off some of his, like, even his fucking commanders, just to protect his main friends. And again, even after all of that, you still are like wanting him to maybe survive. And again, that's just what makes his death even more sad. But at the end of the day, the actual ending is very hopeful. And even though he didn't entirely end conflict, he still momentarily at least postponed it a little bit. And I think that's the main point of this show, really. No matter how driven you are by rage, even besides your motivation, no matter what motivation you have, if you try to get rid of conflict, sometimes that will just cause even more conflict, or sometimes that will just never really stop conflict at all. Even if you momentarily stop it, it will just come back. And that's proven at the end of the entire series, even after Eren dies, even after all this genocide is stopped, and, you realize that, more people aren't going to be just going after the island anymore. You still realize that there are still going to be people on the island that other people are going to turn against, that other people will not like, and that will eventually just cause way more conflict. And also, especially hinted at the end, at the last final seconds of the entire series, you get to see the cycle continue. You get to see basically what happened to Ymir, this kid discovering a tree and then becoming a founder titan. And that's basically alluded to at the end. Again, just basically saying that no matter what you do to stop conflict, it will just be a kind of infinite cycle, and conflict will just continue to happen. And I think that is an extremely powerful message. But yeah, I've talked my fucking head off, and I've said the word impactful about 10 times, but it is, again, this show is fucking great. I can't really say anything else about it. I've already said everything I can about it. It is just a phenomenal show from front to back. The character development, even though it is gradual, it slowly builds, and then the plot punches you in the face in season 3 and soars past in season 4. It is phenomenal. And also seeing Zeke's heartbreaking interaction with Eren, especially in the kind of like connected universe where he gets to meet the founder, and then seeing how Eren actually used like his connection with his brother to turn on him and commit this genocide, is again just how you can see how willing Eren is to even give up basically everything just to protect his main friends and a lot of people on the island. But yeah, again, and also probably the second most impactful scene of the entire last episode, seeing Mikasa finally kiss Eren right as he's completely dead, right as he's beheaded, is goddamn, dude. It's just sad. It is just so sad. But yeah. So yeah, that's the end of me talking about this fucking cruel ass sad show. But it is a really, as I said, phenomenal, really, really good show. I can recommend this to anybody. Even if you don't like a lot of gore and a lot of fucking heartbreak and really, really kind of confusing mindfuck elements, especially in season 4, I still give this a recommendation. At least watch season 1 and 2, because those are really, really good as well. But I really do think the story picks up in season 4 and 3, and I honestly think that season 3 and season 4 honestly basically on the same levels like season 2, almost maybe even a little better than season 2. But yeah, I don't have a whole lot else to say. Love this show to death, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.